Sexual harassment, workplace violence, school violence, bullying, public violence, campus rape, and sexual assault are all related. And our guest today believes the connection is how someone is raised at home. Her mission is to prevent, really to stop such violence. So stay with us.
Welcome to Lean to the Left, home of no-holds-barred commentary, plus interviews with fascinating people. Some of them top experts, others simply with interesting stories to tell. You'll never know who'll show up at Lean to the Left. Now here's your host, Bob Gaddy.
Sabrina Osso is founder and CEO of Osso-Safe. Feel safe where you live, work, and play. She's a TEDx speaker, author, and real estate agent who promotes safety and preventing violence in the workplace, schools, and homes. Her personal and professional experience with the subject allows her to bring a unique and holistic approach as a solution. She's also a professional dancer, teacher, and uses her performance abilities to educate people on the subject. As a real estate agent, Sabrina is bridging the real estate industry with Osso-Safe. We'll learn more about that. Sabrina, thanks for joining us on the Lean to the Left podcast. I really do appreciate it and look forward to our conversation.
Likewise, Bob.
So tell me, Sabrina, just how prevalent is home violence and how does that relate to schools, business, and properties?
We say at Osso-Safe, everything starts in the home. So if we make home safe, then we feel that everything else will fall into place, where there won't be so much violence in schools, universities, workplaces, public places, theaters, concerts. Everything starts in the home. Home is home base. That's your foundation. And we're not saying that if you grew up with violence that there's no hope. We're not saying that at all. But it's very important to realize that safety must become a required standard. And we could talk about that later on in the interview.
Okay. Do you have some statistics in terms of how prevalent home violence is and so on?
Sure. 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in a lifetime. 1 out of 5 adolescent girls is abused by her boyfriend. 1 out of 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US, just the ones that we know about that are documented, if you will. About 324,000 pregnant women go into the emergency room, not for pregnant-related issues, but for abuse-related injuries. 1 out of 7 men is abused. By the end of today, 4 women will be killed by their abusive partners, and most of them will be killed after they leave their abusers. So them leaving is not the answer. And I would say another statistic, 5 children in this country are murdered every day at the hands of an abusive parent. And most of the time it's under the watch of a child protective service agency. So those are statistics that are just off the top of my head. 80% of all runaways come from violent homes. That's another alarming statistic. And all of this is rooted in the lack of respect in homes, the lack of safety in homes.
That's shocking. It just really is. What are some examples of how this abuse takes place?
It's a cycle. A lot of the time it's slow. In fact, most of the time it's almost subtle. If you grew up with violence, you're almost, in order to survive, you get used to it. And no one should get used to violence. So it could be it always usually starts as verbal. The comments, why are you wearing that? I want you all to myself. Why don't I take care of all of the finances? It could start with a shove, pulling hair, and then it escalates from there. Humiliation, isolation is a big factor or a big characteristic of trouble. Trouble is on its way as far as that you are headed for an abusive relationship. Pornography is a big driver of violence. We're not talking about erotica. Erotica is different. Erotica, there's no bondage, there's no domination, but pornography, and you could say / BDSM, which stands for bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism. If your partner is looking at pornography, chances are violence is going to happen, is happening, will always happen. And I could tell you from personal experience, because my father beat my mother on a regular basis, my mother beat me. You, when you see your parents fighting, now we're not saying you, there's not going to be any arguments, there's not going to be any conflict. Of course, when you're with your significant other, there's going to be problems, but it never crosses the line of abuse, not verbal, not physical, not sexual. So you fight, you argue with respect. That's the key ingredient, respect. In everything that I just said, Bob, there's no respect. So if you feel dominated, if you feel controlled, you are in an abusive relationship. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, Sabrina, while you were talking, it just occurred to me that let's say that a young woman is interested in a young man and they begin a courtship and dating, and one thing leads to another and leads to another, and they end up in a sexual relationship. How does that young woman know if that potential partner of hers is potentially an abuser? Is there a way to tell?
Yes, there are warning signs like the ones I mentioned just earlier. And if you feel where it's controlled, like a lot, and this could go for men and women, I'd also say it doesn't matter the gender, abuse is abuse. So the victim could be male, the victim could be female. So it's horrible either way. So you could be dating a man or a woman, and like you said, you enter into a sexual relationship, which is great. If you experience any discomfort where you feel creeped out, I'm not comfortable doing that in the bedroom. I'm not comfortable when you do this, when we're making out, or whatever the case may be, and they force it on you, that's violence, that's abuse. There is sexual assault, rape. It happens in marriages. It happens when you're date rape, right? On college campuses, that is a big problem, date rape, or even in high school, I would say, or middle school. So anything that is dominating, controlling, manipulative, they'll say things like, why are you hanging out with that friend? I don't like that friend. I want you all to myself. If you're a very fashionable person, you like to wear clothes, fashionable clothes, man or woman, and now your partner is saying those skirts are too short, that is too revealing, your chest, it's just exposed. I don't think you should wear that. I pick out the clothes for you. That's all control. If you're dating someone and right away they want control of your finances, big red alert, especially if you just met them and they want to be on your account. They want to control your finances. They want to know financial information. Meanwhile, you just met them. These are all warning signs. And like I mentioned, it starts subtle because abusers, for the most part, they are conscious of what they're doing, and it's a way to rope you in. So that way they have complete control. And this goes for men and women. Like I said, in with pornography, it's something upwards of over 90% of pornography. The people doing the pornography, they've been sexually abused. So they go into that field, continuing the cycle of sex abuse, if you will.
Okay.
So if you're dating someone that is into pornography, BDSM, you're in trouble. You need to leave the relationship immediately. And you need to have the confidence in yourself to say, you know what? I deserve to be in a good relationship. There's other people out there worthy of my time, my companionship. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. That's it,
Okay.
in a word. Bye.
I
And
got
that goes for any age. Ciao. I'm Italian. Ciao.
it. So long. Don't let the door hit you in the behind, right? Tell me
Right.
this. What are some of the symptoms of a potential victim?
In the workplace, if it is hot outside and they always wear long sleeves, and granted there's air conditioning, I get it. There's air conditioning in the corporate environment. But if it's a pattern, a repetitive pattern where they're wearing long sleeves, chances are they're hiding bruises, they're hiding cuts done by their partner. If they're always wearing sunglasses, maybe they're hiding a black eye. If they are sensitive about talking about their home life. Now, granted, there could have been a death in the family. Maybe they have to take care of a loved one that's sick.
Mhm.
And that could be why they don't want to talk about it. But I would say if you ask the question at different times and they're very reserved and they change the subject right away, that could be a sign that someone is not safe at home. If they come in late to work and they used to do good work, like they were very on point with projects, with assignments, and now they're not.
Mhm.
That could be a sign of a victim where, wow, what's going on with you? How is that guy that you're dating or that woman that you're dating? What happened? You were late to work. You were all of these factors. All of these are signs of a. It could be a victim. Also, diet. If they have and their health. If they have headaches and backaches and their body is turning on them because they are a victim of violence. I have to say, Bob, nothing will break a body down like violence, abuse. So I feel like the health in any country is measured by, is there abuse going on at home, especially with children? That means that the abuse, the violence is affecting you. You're having headaches, backaches, anxiety, depression. What's going on at home? And it's seeping into your workplace, if you're a student, at school. So everything is interconnected. But these are some of the characteristics of a victim. I hope
Okay.
I answered the question.
Yeah, Sabrina, tell me this. If let's say that you have a good friend, you're at work, you have a good friend, and he or she comes into the office and you notice some of these signs that you just discussed. What should you do?
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, and say things like, because they're not going to want to open up probably at first. So you keep asking, and I'm not saying pestering. I'm not saying by any means be nosy, be gossipy. No, you are genuinely caring about that person and say, if you need to talk, I'm here for you. We can go somewhere alone around the corporate office. I'm not going to tell anyone. Whatever you say is confidential, but I feel like things are going on and I'm here for you. And keep saying it. Let a week go by, a couple of days, and then ask again. And I would say it's very important to not tell them to leave. Do not tell them to leave. Because, as I said, that statistic, once a victim decides to leave, they are 75% more likely to be killed. So you don't want to tell them, just leave. What's the problem? Just leave. First of all, they're going to shut down. They're going to shut down. So they're not going to want to talk to you because everybody tells them that. Just leave. As if it's something simple. We at Also Safe, when we do our seminars and our workshops, we educate people that there are 50 reasons why victims don't leave. Everything from the kids to finances to he or she found me before. So you don't want to tell them just leave. And I also want to say that refer them to us, Osso Safe, because we will get their property Osso Safe certified. And I could go into more detail what that entails. And those would be the best things to do. And you could tell them, look, if you want to ever come over my house, and granted, you might be scared to even say that. What if the psycho husband, the psycho wife, the abusive husband, wife, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend comes to your house and then you're endangering your own family? We get it. But I would say no one came to my rescue growing up. No one. No one. I was alone. I didn't speak to someone until I was at university, at college. And I wish, looking back, I wish one person would have set me aside and say, Sabrina, anytime you want to come over my house, anytime you want to talk, anytime you need a shoulder to cry on, our door is open. No one did, no one, except for this one friend that I didn't meet until college. If you can, I would say open your doors to open your home to that person and say, if you need a place to get away, come to my house and we will figure this out. So those would be, I would say, the immediate tips that I would give, that I could recommend.
Okay. Now, Sabrina, you say that 75%, the statistic I can't remember, and I think you said 75% of those who leave are killed or suffer further abuse. What did you say?
They can be killed.
Yeah. Well, what am
75%
I
of people
supposed to
victims.
do if it's too dangerous to leave? It's certainly too dangerous to stay. So what are you supposed to do?
Hire us. Get us into your properties. Oh, so safe. We make safety a required standard condition of residency for all properties. We're saying, and I say this in my TEDx talk. In fact, it was the title of my TEDx talk. If you're a victim of home violence, don't leave, stay. Why should you leave? You're the victim. You're the one getting beat up. You're the one that's being verbally, physically, sexually abused, any combination of those three. You have children. If you have children, it makes matters even 1,000 times more complicated. Why should you leave? Get the abuser out. Get the abuser out and you stay right where you are. Once you enter into a real estate contract with someone, whether it be renting, owning, having a mortgage or not, you are in a residential contract, you stay. And it's the abuser that has to leave, not you, the victim. And the kids are automatic victims. So we are looking to flip the script in residency when it comes to safety. It's great that in the real estate, in properties, you have heat, hot water, electricity, central air. You put the window guards up. You make sure that everything is up to code. But what about the safety among the residents? All of the residents, adults and children alike, they have to be educated. They have to know that there are consequences if there's any verbal, physical, sexual abuse. They have to sign a policy that states, yes, I promise to practice safety. I promise to not be abusive. Otherwise, I, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises. And you go into full knowledge knowing that would be the consequences. Because, Bob, we are not beasts, savages, barbarians. Safety should be as basic as ABC. I'm a dancer, so plie, releve, saute. It's basic. You cannot live life being under the reign of a terrorist in your own house. It's inexcusable, unacceptable, and we will see to it that every property gets Osso Safe certified. It needs to be a standard. I hope I make sense. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you did, Sabrina. Now, what do you mean by you said we have to practice not being abusive, especially when it comes to children? We'll hear what Sabrina has to say about that when we come back after this short break.
Yes, great question. Children suffer the most in these circumstances. I should know I was one of them. So they're seeing mom beat up dad, or dad beat up mom, or they're getting abused themselves. And this is indeed a practice. When you are handed the baby at the hospital, mom, dad is there, or maybe it's just mom, maybe you adopted, maybe whatever the case may be. When you get released and you go home, we take it for granted and say, and we take this lazy approach. Okay, this is how you feed it. This is how you burp it. This is how you change the diaper in case they choke. This is what you do. But what about safety? What about practicing safety? When you get into a conflict with your partner, are you going to know how to fight, how to have an argument without terrorizing your children? Are you practicing empowerment, encouragement, freedom of choice, respect, safety? Are you practicing where you just had a bad day at work, you come home, or maybe you work from home and you're in your office home, your home office, I should say, and you just had a bad day? Do you know that you're not going to take it out on everybody? You're not going to tell everybody the hell with you. I need to blow off steam. And you're going to take it out on the kids. No, you communicate. You say, look, I just had a bad meeting. I just had a bad day. I need 10 minutes alone. So I'm going to lock myself in this room. And if you could please not bother me, I just need to process everything that just happened and breathe. And that way I could play with you, little Timmy, little Sally. I can be there for you, wife, husband, or boyfriend, girlfriend. You have to communicate that. And this is a practice. What if your kid comes home with bad grades? Are you going to beat the crap out of them? Or are you going to sit down and say, are you being bullied? What was going on? Are you dating someone? Are they giving you problems? Is it that you don't like the teacher? What's going on? Why is this an F? Why is this a D? You've always obtained B's or A's, so you're not going to beat the crap out of them. Your daughter comes home, she's pregnant. You're not going to beat the crap out of her. You're not going to resort to violence or abuse. We have to work this out. What are our choices? What do you want to do? How do you feel about it? We're here for you as your parents. So all of these are examples of practicing safety. You have a toddler, and the toddler just messed up your entire wall of paintings with markers, with chalk, because you were on the phone and you were paying attention, but not paying attention at the same time. Are you going to beat the crap out of your toddler? No. Let it be okay. And we say this as part of our seminars and workshops as a practice. Let it be okay. Obviously, they didn't do it on purpose. If anything, they wanted your attention, and they didn't mean to do that. And have a talk with them and say, look, this is mommy's paintings or daddy's paintings or work. You can't do that. We're going to clean it up together. And do you want me to do that to your drawings that you did at school? So there's respect there, Bob. Respect. That's the main ingredient. So these are some of the ways that we practice safety.
Okay. Now you say that children need to have agency over their lives way before 18 years of age. What does that mean?
The way the laws are, or the courts, and just society in general, 18 years old, okay, you're out the door. You don't have to abide by my rules. Go. You're free to go. If you live in an abusive environment from birth, 18 is way too late. Way too late. By then you're seeing violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction on a regular basis. And it's affecting you. It's affecting you in every regard. Children know who make them feel safe. They know who respects them. They know from teeny tiny, even in infant stages, when if you're yelling and screaming, that infant knows something is amiss in the crib. There's studies about this in child rearing, and psychologists and doctors that say that there is proof of this, that they know that something is off, even though they're infants, that there's conflict, and then it affects them. We have to give respect to our children and trust them when they say, I'm scared of mom, I'm scared of dad, and make it safe for them to say that. They would rather live with an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend. If dad is beating the crap out of mom, or mom is beating the crap out of dad, or one of them or both of them is beating the crap out of them, out of the child, this is not a safe home. This is not a good environment. Let the child decide. Let them say who they feel safe with. Let them dictate their lives way before 18, because if we wait until they're 18, Bob, they're going to resort to drugs, alcohol, bad relationships. They're going to repeat the cycle. They're going to get involved with the wrong people, and ultimately they could commit suicide. Why? Why? When you could nip it in the bud right when they are a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. Children know who make them feel safe. And if you create that environment, which we do at Osso Safe, in fact, I have a children's book that talks about giving children voice, giving them choice when it comes to their residency. We need to do that. Our world and our homes and our world will be better off.
Isn't that the job of the family courts to decide what the best solution is for the child in cases like that?
I have to say, Bob, unfortunately, I have personal and professional experience with this. The laws, the courts, the judges, the child protective service agencies, they make horrible matters even worse. Their 2-year-old Kira Franchetti, 3-year-old Bella Bond, 6-year-old Zymir Perkins, 7-year-old Nix Mary Brown, 7-year-old Julija Baptiste. They are all dead, murdered at the hands of an abusive parent under the watch of a child protective service agency.
Oh my God.
They are, and everything is right in front of them, like the evidence, but they do, in my opinion, in my personal and professional opinion, they do more harm than good. They do not do what is in the best interest of that abused child. They do what is in the worst interest of that child, of that abused child. And a lot of the time, they actually side with the abusive parent, the abusive step parent, the abusive family member. It's horrendous. It's horrendous. With our products and services, you won't need the courts. Everything gets resolved right in residency with our Osso Safe certifications, our Osso Safe Home Sweet Home package for properties. And we are marketing this to the real estate industry. I'm a real estate agent. We are really pushing for this because I wish I had this growing up, put it that way.
Okay. Now you have a YouTube channel, Osso Safe Kids, the Osso Safe Kids cheer anthem. What's all that got to do with your Osso Safe certification program?
Yes, kids are so important for Osso Safe, so very important, because I feel like they are, and a lawyer actually told me this, but and I agree, they are the most disenfranchised beings on the planet. And they need to have choice, they need to have voice. So I feel like I wanted to give them a platform to speak out and to educate them, to say, look, if home is not safe, I say it in my YouTube channel and I say it in my TikTok. The YouTube and TikTok are designated for kids, and then the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram is adults and kids. But the YouTube and the TikTok We are saying to kids, if you're not safe at home, do not go home. Stay at school, say your cheer. I want to live where I am also safe, and I am also safe with, and fill in the blank. Tell your teachers, tell the superintendent, tell the police, tell whoever is at school, say do not, and don't go home. Do not go home. If you're getting beaten at home, you're being told that you're a bitch, a slut, a whore, you are a brat, a monster, you're ungrateful, you are getting sexually abused by mom, dad, there's pornography going on, BDSM, you're getting beat up, you didn't go to school because your nose is broken and you had to tell everybody at school that, oh, I fell. Don't go home. Do not go home. And if there is someone that could take you in, say who that is. Do not go home, stay at school, and demand that person comes and picks you up at school and takes you to safety. So that's what the YouTube and the TikTok are all about. And also, we talk about if you're dating, what are the warning signs of a bad relationship? What are the good signs of a good relationship? What does that look like? And giving them voice, giving them choice.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about your book, your children's book, Home Safe Home for You and Me. What's that all about?
Yes. Yes. As I mentioned, it is, I would say the book is for a toddler all the way up to, I would say, middle school. And it's talking about voice and choice. So if I can, I just want to read you a page, and it introduces some tools. I explicitly say if the difference between respect and disrespect. I don't know if you could see. The important thing is that everybody in your home needs to be safe and respect one another and not abuse one another. Abuse is when someone hurts you or someone you live with in your house. This is disrespect, and this is dangerous for you and everybody in your house. And I introduced the concept of that right now, this instant, you know that for the moment, which means right now, you are safe. And then I introduce tools like after the fighting stops. And I know because I went through this, after the fighting stops, go to a safe place in your house, apartment, wherever you live, and breathe. Do conscious breathing where you breathe, hold it at the top, and then let it all out. And it just anchors kids to the present moment. Because as a child that's living with abuse, you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about the future, you're thinking, oh my gosh, when is this gonna happen again? Another episode of violence. You're constantly in alert, urgent mode. It's like a war in your own house. So I introduced the concept of breathing and the cheer. I want to live where I am also safe and I am also safe with, and you get to fill in the blank. And I tell kids, who do you feel safe with? Is it mom and dad? Is it an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent? And I say, you could even say that you feel safe with mom and dad, even if it's not true. That's okay. If you're too scared to say, that's okay. When you're ready, you'll say who makes you feel safe. Wherever they're at, that's okay. If they're too scared to say, if they can say it. And also, I am introducing where properties get Osso Safe certified, and our logo gets placed on schools, properties, and workplaces, but mainly properties. It introduces all of these concepts, and we're hoping that, and we use the book as a staple in residency because it's a tool, Bob, to teach kids that they have voice, that they have choice, and that when they're ready, they could say who they feel safe with. Because now you're in an OSO Safe certified property, and we don't wait until you're 18 to get you to safety if you're not safe at home.
Okay. How can people learn more about what you're doing, Sabrina?
Our website is ososafe.com. As I mentioned, we are on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Mhm.
And the book is on Amazon. I think I've seen it on Barnes and Noble's, multiple book websites.
Okay.
And those would be the best way to reach us.
Okay, you know what I forgot to ask you earlier? You mentioned your dancing. How does your dancing play into what you're doing with Oh So Safe?
Yes, when we go to schools and universities for that matter, students, when you're talking about such a heavy subject, it helps to have things or mediums, ways to make it a little less heavy in any capacity. So the dancing provides that. And then you also get so much more attention from the students when you perform in front of them, whether it be dancing, singing, acting. I'm a dancer, and then the acting, I weave it in there naturally. So it definitely provides, it serves as a attention getter and attention, their
Yeah.
attention.
All right. So you're doing these presentations at school. Let's say it's elementary school, right? Exactly what are you doing? Do you have some kind of a dance with lyrics and music and stuff that you I'm sorry,
Well,
I'm
it
not probably not
depends.
asking that very well.
Yeah, no, it depends. It depends on what the school would want. So first I asked them, was this okay to do? Is this all right to do at your school? And I educate, like I say, all of you are also safe kids, whether you're safe at home or not safe at home. So
Okay.
from this moment on, all of you are also safe kids. And we have wristbands that we give out. So that way and I have to say the kids really identify with wristbands. I don't know what it is exactly, but they know what to do with them. They put them on and I feel like they feel like they're part of something very important, and it gives them voice without even saying anything. And from my show, my one-woman show, Home Sweet Home, question mark, I extract pieces from that show. So I have a Latin piece in there, a flamenco piece, a musical theater piece, a African piece. So I extract from that show and I perform it in front of the students, and it's educational as well as entertaining. And
Okay.
then I gear it where I want the students can say, wow, she's playing me. That's how it is at home for me. Wow, she's acting like my mother, or
Mhm.
she's acting like my father. Wow, she really gets it. She understands what we're going through. So there's connection there.
Now, you mentioned the one woman show, you just mentioned in passing. Isn't that kind of important? Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. Oh, I thought I mentioned it. Sorry. Uh,
Yeah.
Also Safe was really born out of this one woman show that I wrote, choreographed, and performed a number of years ago.
Okay.
And I play the show, as I said, is Home Sweet Home question mark.
Right.
And I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But
Uh,
then she's pulled back into the terror of violence, but the show ends really strong, really empowering. And I did a lot of research for the show, and I couldn't believe the statistics that I was finding. Oh So Safe was born out of this one woman show, really. And I
see.
do plan on reviving it. I do plan on reviving it at some point. I'm hoping sooner than later for sure.
Where did you do this show? Who was the audience?
When or
Where was the
where?
audience?
Oh, different venues. I did it at universities. I did it for the vagina monologues. Actually, I was invited to perform a piece of it. I did the African piece of my show at the vagina monologues. This was a number of years ago. I've done it for like cafes, any cafe or place that allows for performances to happen. I even did it for a storage center, actually, we did it with my students. I did it actually, which is pretty cool in retrospect when you think back on your life. Wow, that was really cool that I did it as a woman show, but I also had my students incorporated and the other teachers. Yeah, and a couple of other venues as well.
Okay. You got a very creative thing going on there, and you've turned it into a nice business. That's great. And listen, I really do appreciate you being on with us. Is there anything more you'd like to add?
This was so great, Bob. I thank you for this opportunity and for allowing us to speak on your platform. We greatly appreciate it. I just want to say to your listeners, to your audience members, you deserve to be in a good relationship. Just because you are a parent, it doesn't give you the right to abuse your child. And all of us deserve safety, respect. And this is a practice. It's a practice. So I think that would be the most important things that I want to end with your listeners.
Now, one more break, and I'll be back with some closing comments. Stay with us. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you'll come back on a regular basis and check out our interviews with guests on topics that I hope you find interesting, entertaining, and enlightening. Our episodes stream weekly, every Monday. Let your friends know about this podcast and take a minute to subscribe. Just go to podcast.leantotheleft.net to subscribe, check out the upcoming interview schedule, and listen to all of our episodes. And follow us on social media. Facebook at the Lean to the Left Podcast, Twitter at Lean to the Left 1, Instagram at BobGaddy_Lean to the Left, and TikTok at Lean to the Left. And you can watch the episodes at YouTube at Lean to the Left. And don't forget to visit our blog site, leantotheleft.net, where you'll find commentary on the news by some excellent writers with progressive perspectives on a whole range of topics. You can sign up as a member there, and of course, it's all free. Now, this is Bob Gaddy signing off for Lean to the Left. Thanks for sharing your time with us.